Hi, guys. Welcome to Playing in Traffic.
Hi, welcome.
We have
Welcome,
a
welcome.
very special guest today. It's Thanksgiving break, so we have all of our families with us. Today, we have my little boy here with us. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Welcome to our podcast this week. We have exciting news and exciting updates this week, so we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
You guys, you know this cult expert, Stephen Hassan. He's the one that wrote Combating Cult Mind Control. I emailed him just thinking, okay, maybe he's going to read it one day. He
And we've
actually
been
emailed me
using his
back.
bite model.
Right. We've been exploring his bite model, and this book has been like a total, you know, life changing thing for me to read. And he emailed me back, and he's been super supportive and super helpful and helping me to connect with other former members. And it's been really nice because I'm starting to get these different connections with people, and hearing their, similar, almost identical stories has really been cool.
Yay. That is so exciting.
Yeah, so that's been exciting, and I've been able to come in contact with other people and just share stories, and so that's been really cool. It's all kind of coming together and all part of the healing process. So thank you guys so much for all your support, all your listens, it's been really
All
cool.
the emails.
Yeah.
It's been exciting, guys.
Yeah, so today we want to talk about what it was like leaving and how all of that came about. And yeah, I think a lot of people are curious about what it's like to leave and how that happens. As I'm talking to people and kind of hearing people's experiences, um, I'm learning that it's not that easy to leave. And even when I look back at my own story, I can see that I was struggling for years and years and years to try to just get out. So, I think it's important that we talk about that.
Yeah, writing out the timeline for this was interesting because it's over the course of a few years. It's not just like, and then she woke up one day and she was like, I'm gonna leave today. It's kind of a process. So
Right. For
Tony, take
me
us.
personally, it was a process. So
Yeah.
I just want to kind of start off with like a timeline of, you know, sort of what happened. And then we can go through it all a little bit. So in 2012, we were living in a house church. We were the leaders of a house church. And there was a big prophecy that was supposed to happen. It didn't really happen. So, that was sort of strange. And then we had like a lot of events that were happening, and so, it was just that whole cycle of like not being able to sleep, no privacy, no personal time, like not eating well and all that. And so in about 2013, I got really sick in my stomach. Like I started getting these really crazy stomach pains, and I kept going to the doctor over and over again. And I went to the emergency room, and they kept doing all these tests and all these different things on me, and they could not figure out what was wrong with me. And I had to have a procedure done, and so I couldn't drive or anything, so my mom had to take me. And I had to come stay at her house and lay on her couch and get better. And it was only for like a day or two. And my mommy is the best at taking care of sick people. Okay. Even to this day, when we're sick, we want to go lay on our mom's couch.
Yes. If I get an ear infection, that's like I want to go lay in mom's bathtub without the water, just on the cold porcelain.
For sure. Thank you, mommy, for
Mom,
taking such
yeah.
good care of us. So,
You-
you know what? I hadn't really been away from the church, like without a schedule, without a strict timeline of where I need to be in that moment. And so I was able to like take a nap and not worry about, anything or anybody else. And so that was like the first time that I was able to just sort of step out for a minute. Even if it was just for like 24 hours, it was very refreshing. And it always sort of stuck with me like, maybe this is the way that I'm supposed to be. Maybe this is not healthy. on my body. Anyway, they never found anything wrong with me. And so then I just kind of kept going and going and going. And then I got pregnant with my second baby, which for me was very exciting. But I definitely felt like a change in like members' feelings towards me when I got pregnant. Nobody was ever like, you shouldn't have a baby, but it was sort of like understood that if you're a church leader, you really shouldn't have more children because it kind of takes up your time, takes up your energy. You don't have enough time for, church activities and church work.
From my online research, so I'm not saying that Tony has ever said this about anybody directly, but I have watched the videos of the women who have said that they were told it's like child abuse to have a baby at the end of the world because you're bringing your baby at the end times knowingly. And they would really discourage it, and they would kind of like hint at like abortion is always an option. So that's from like my online research of other people's stories, not anything specific that happened to Tony. So when she got pregnant,
there are rumors that women were told, it's better to have an abortion if you get pregnant. And the thing is that they really genuinely believe that it's the last days, and that in the last days there's going to be like war and disaster and famine, and there won't be food and there won't be water, and it's going to be terrible. So why would you ever want to bring a child into this world? And that's like a genuine fear. And that was a genuine fear for me. Actually, my children are very far apart. I had my first son in 2007, and then I didn't have my second one until 2015. It's a lot of years because that whole time I was afraid to have a baby in this world. But then it's like, okay, guys, the end of the world is not happening. I'm getting older. I want to have another baby. So we had another baby. And it's not like anybody directly says to you like, oh my God, why are you having another baby? It's more just like subtly ignoring you, not inviting you to these special meetings, not being involved in certain church activities. Just sort of being left out, And so after that, so then I had my baby and I was so happy, but I was so stressed because I was starting to feel like two different people. Like I was starting to have an outside quote unquote life and then a church life. So what I would do is I would just live my life. And then whenever there would be a service or a feast, I would go to the church service and scurry away like as fast as I could. So what you do is you go to the church service because you have to get your blessings. And then you just like scurry away to your car really fast because people treat you weird. Like everybody kind of looks at you weird. You know that there's rumors about you. You know that people think that you're being sinful or whatever it is that they're being told about you. And it's weird, and there's not a lot of support if like you're not doing church work, if you're not like fully immersed in it, there's not a lot of support for you. So it feels very strange. All the relationships feel very weird after that. And so there was one specific moment that I really, really remember, and it was during one of the feasts. It was a day of Pentecost, and that's a day when you're supposed to really receive the Holy Spirit. Okay. And it was like on a Sunday, and I had my boys, and you have to have, they have service at 5 a.m., 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m., all in one day. And that's after like a week of keeping 5 a.m. service and then 8 p.m. service every single day. You get together and you have like a prayer service and you read from a book every day and you go preaching. And so that's like the day that you're supposed to get the Holy Spirit. Well, my husband, he was already sort of out, and we were supposed to be celebrating something. I can't really remember what it was, but he wanted to go do something. He wanted to go like on a date. He wanted to go gambling. And I really felt at that moment, like for the first time, like really split. I was split into two different people. Like one hand, it was a holy day and I needed to go be blessed by God, or else I'm not going to go to heaven. On the other hand, I really want to spend time with my husband and I really want to go gambling. That's something that we really enjoy doing. We like to go to the mountains and just go and enjoy the fresh air and just have some time together. And so I was conflicted and I was so tired. I had a brand new baby. He wasn't sleeping well. And I was driving home from Pentecost in between the service, and it was like a 45-minute drive. It was a long drive, and I was so stressed. Like the height of my anxiety. And I think I was on the phone with you, Lindsay,
Mm.
and I was driving, and all of a sudden I just got tunnel vision, and I got really scared. I got sweaty and shaky, and I got tunnel vision, and I got really nervous, and I got just started feeling really strange. And I was almost home. I was like 5 minutes from home. I was on the phone with my sister, with Lindsay, and I got home and I was like, oh my God, something happened to me. And I swear to you, I thought I was having a stroke or like a brain aneurysm or something. I was really scared. So we, rushed to the doctor, and they checked me out, and everything in that moment was okay. It wasn't anything serious. So then I went to all these specialists after that because I just felt really weird. Like I had a lot of brain fog, like just all of these really strange things. I just felt really strange. Like I wasn't really in my right mind. I was sort of confused. I had a hard time remembering words, and it was like continuously happening. I went to like an ENT doctor. I went to a neurologist. I went to all these doctors. I had brain scans, CAT scans, all these things happened. They checked my heart. Like I got this, like all this stuff. And they ended up diagnosing me with migraines, like complicated, migraine disease. It's actually a very complicated neurological disease. And it turned out to be migraines and severe anxiety, and later manifested into panic attacks. And you guys, this happened for years. I was continuously fighting this anxiety and these panic attacks and this brain fog. It was like a continuous cycle. And it was all because of these phobias and these fears. And as I was trying to leave, and as I was like trying to understand these two different identities, I was just like at this really strange crossroads, and it lasted for years and years and years.
And one of the things that you mentioned was that the doctors were like, are you under any stress? And at the time you were like, no, I'm not. Like, and
Right.
you
So
truly knew that, like, you didn't really like see the church as being stressful. You didn't really see that was giving you anxiety at the time.
at the time, the doctors would continuously ask, do you think it's possible that you're living in a stressful time of life, like you just had a baby? And I would always say no. Like I was very defensive about it. And it was hard because even if I wanted to explain to them that I was trying to get out of a cult, like I wasn't even at that point in my life where I could even verbalize that. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't even express that to them. It wasn't even in my thought process that could be what was wrong. I was convinced that there was something wrong with my body. Something was wrong with me. I had a brain tumor. I had an aneurysm. I had something wrong with my heart. Something was wrong with my body. But, finally, after years later of a lot of different things, cannabis and yoga and family connections and a lot of different things, which we're going to talk about later. I was able to look back and see, oh my God, that was anxiety. That was panic attacks, and I cannot believe how it manifested inside of my body. Can I read you guys something?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I have more to say about how I left. Okay, so right now in this story, we're sort of like in the process of me leaving. So this is from like 2015 to about 2019. So I'm still sort of in and out, okay? And what I realize now looking back is when you're in there, you have a total disconnect between your mind and your body. And I'm sure that's done on purpose. I'm sure that's all part of the process, but like you're taught that your body is sinful, that you're two different parts. You're a physical body and a spiritual body. And the most important thing is your spiritual body. And so you really like disconnect from your physical body. You have no concept of a mind-body connection. Do you know what I mean? Which looking back, that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So you're taught that your body is sinful. And so it's like disgusting. And you don't need to like make it all beautiful. You don't need to like worry about it. You don't really like need to go to the doctor. Not saying that they say don't go to the doctor, but like it's not really a priority. Like if you have extra time, you're not going to go to the doctor. You're going to go preaching. Do you know what I mean? So it just sort of like snowballs to where like you're not really taking care of the dentist appointments. You're not really taking care of your doctor's appointments, you know? And so little by little, yeah, you do get sick. But okay, my favorite cult expert, Stephen Hassan, he wrote in his book, okay, and I do want to read a little quote from it, and I give all credit to him. This is in his Combating Cult Mind Control, and this is in his chapter. It is chapter, let me just look it up really quick, you guys. This is in chapter 4, Understanding Mind Control, and it says that he explains how we have two different identities, the cult identity and then quote unquote our real identity, which is our real person inside of us. And our real person inside of us is constantly trying to get out and kind of like break through that cult identity. So he explains that sometimes it's manifested through disease in your body and through sickness. So let me just read this part. Okay, this is on page 74. It says, it is the real identity deep down inside that sees and records contradictions, questions, and disillusioning experiences. And it says, it still always amazes me, even though I had this experience myself during my deprogramming, that during the later stages of an intervention, my clients are able to verbalize very specific negative incidents that occurred while they were members. It says, he has seen time and again in my exit counseling work that the real self holds the keys to what it will take to undo the mind control process. It says, indeed, this real self is responsible for creating the frequent psychosomatic illnesses that cult members experience. I have met people who have developed severe skin problems, which excused them from getting the grueling work schedule and gave them a chance to sleep. I have seen people develop asthma, as well as severe allergic reactions in order to seek outside medical attention and help. The real self exerts itself in other ways too. So it's like there's a real self in us that's trying to get out, and it literally makes your body sick to stop you, to sort of stop that cycle, that pattern. Like I'm learning a lot about patterns. And so when you're in a cult, you're just stuck in a constant pattern. And in that is sleep deprivation and such a rigid schedule from 5 a.m. to 1 in the morning. You have every single minute laid out. You have no time to rest, no time to stop. And you literally need something to stop you in your tracks. And for me, that was when my stomach got sick. And then that was also when I got pregnant and also when I had migraines. It was like my body was manifesting all these things to stop me in my tracks. And so when I was sick, I was able to read, to think, to sleep, to talk to my family, to listen to outside information, and to sort of, it's called deprogramming, where you're able to get outside of that bubble of propaganda and that false reality and to come into this new reality. So I think that that is so interesting, so fascinating. So that's what happened to me in my slow exit of this, organization.
Yeah, and yours is fascinating too, because you're like doing it internally. Like it wasn't like any of us we're like, okay, Tony, that's it. You're done. We're done with this. You're coming on this retreat or anything.
And that's a way for a lot of people to get out. And that is, an effective way is some type of intervention like that.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys were constantly trying to do some type of intervention and trying to help me, just being patient. Yeah. But in my personal experience, I did really keep it quiet. It was really like a personal, quiet exit for me, something that I just sort of struggled with internally within my own little husband and my children and my own family. Yeah, not something that I was ever really public about. But now being public about this, I can see how healing it is, and it's so helpful to verbalize it, because a lot of this stuff I haven't really dealt with until I'm speaking about it. It's so helpful.
I'm trying to remember the first time. I remember being on the phone with you, and it was like the first time you ever were like, I don't really go to church as often as I used to. Like not even to be like I'm coming out of it, but just
it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to say, because I had been so stubborn. Yeah. I have to keep the Sabbath day holy. Like I cannot, like I had missed people's weddings. I had, and now all of a sudden I just wasn't going. And so I felt bad about that. I was embarrassed to tell my family because I had fought with them for so long, and now I was like not even going at all. So I was constantly, dealing with this. But when I hear other people's stories of people who are in, New York, people who are in Peru, people who are in the Philippines, who are in the same church as me, they deal with these, severe mental illness problems like PTSD and all these problems trying to leave. And it's just so sad. And I just want to raise awareness of how real that is, you guys. Stress and anxiety, and if something is wrong in your life, it will manifest inside of your body. Your body will tell you something is wrong, and you need to listen. You need to stop, be quiet, and just listen, because your body is trying to tell you something. And I wish I would have listened a long time ago, but anyway, here I am now, right? Better late than never.
Yeah, you did it.
But I mean, it was like these migraines that I experienced were no joke. I mean, they would make me dizzy, and I couldn't drive, and I had severe phobias, and I was, afraid of feeling awkward, afraid of being awkward. I mean, there's just so many things. And, it's like
Do
you're
you
losing everything that you had known.
do you want to touch again a little bit on the like final, like the last thing
Yes.
that
Okay,
kind of happened?
right. So this is all kind of happening. So then what happened was COVID hit in 2020, and Passover was coming. And up until then, I had kept Passover every single year since I was baptized. And me and my boys too. But so COVID was happening, and honestly, you guys, I was so scared. I was in the fear at that moment, because we were told that, the end of the world was coming, and so many disasters were happening, and all this was going on. Okay. And then I'm watching the news, and like all that was amplified for so long in my brain, and I'm seeing like this great huge disaster taking over the whole world. And so I started getting scared, and honestly, I wanted to go back. Like, I was ready to go back. I was ready to, like, I'm like, I need to go back. I need to go study the Bible, even though it feels a little bit weird. Like this is God's sign. God is coming. And I was still in contact with some of the members, and so I was ready for Passover. Well, then, like a week before Passover comes, I got some messages from several members letting me know that I could not keep the Passover because I was not being a faithful member, that it had been decided that only faithful members could keep the Passover that year. The Passover, you guys, you need to understand the magnitude of this, because Passover was the way to be protected from any kind of disaster. Passover is a way of salvation. Like, this is their main teaching. But now they were telling me that we were not allowed to keep it because we were not keeping service and we were not tithing. We were not being faithful members, so we could not keep the Passover. We could keep second Passover, which was like a month later. But I kept getting messages from the members like, so sorry you can't keep this Passover. Maybe we'll still be here and you can keep the next Passover, implying like maybe Father will come by then. Maybe we'll be in heaven. It might be too late for you then. I hope it's not too late. We're going to be okay, but you might not be. You and your kids might not be, and it's just like, what? I was so scared because, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I was just so scared. But at that moment, that's when I realized that it's all about fear. That they were just trying to scare me.
There's
And
something
that cannot be right.
there's something that I just noticed in this conversation right here. When your
Okay.
husband wanted to go gambling, your
Right.
fear of not participating in the Pentecost feast was
Right.
that you couldn't get blessings to go to heaven.
Right. Get the
And
Holy Spirit.
it's so unattainable. It's like all of the things that you possibly one human can't do, all of them. Like, I know that Passover has
But you
always
can, though. People do it.
well, they do it and then they lose their minds after 10 years.
Right.
Like, it's burnout, like I just feel like it's so unsustainable.
It is unsustainable. And that's
But like
why.
you were saying Pentecost, I felt so guilty because I needed my blessings to go to heaven. I needed to
Right.
go preaching so I could go to heaven. And it's like they're constantly telling you, like, if you don't do this one tiny, it's like such an abusive
It is.
mentally, like messing with Passover, but Passover is like the ultimate thing, but like preaching is also the ultimate thing. live it, tithing is, but really tithing is like the actual ultimate thing to them, right?
Right.
Like the real reason why you probably couldn't celebrate was because you weren't paying your dues to the church.
I know. Well, looking back now, you can see that, but when you're in it,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
all
yeah.
makes sense because every feast has a purpose. There's 7 feasts and every feast has a blessing of God. And, if you have to keep them all.
Yeah.
And so it was in that moment when I was like, "Oh my God, these people are just trying to scare me. They are just trying to scare me to stay. And I don't want to be scared. I want to believe in something because I believe. I want to believe in something because it makes me happy. It makes me a better person. It makes me feel peace. I don't want to believe in something because I'm scared to go to hell." And
Yeah.
it's not just this religion that does that. A lot of religions do this and they control by fear. And it's such a successful tactic that, it's so widely used. But it was in that moment that I was like, no, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot live by fear. If I want to believe in this church, I'll believe in it because I want to, because I feel love. I'm not going to believe in it because I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I never kept Passover again. And then this year Passover came. And to be honest, I was feeling like, oh, no, it was that Passover. When the Passover came and went, right? 2020, I was feeling nervous. And
Yeah.
also this year, knowing that it had come and went, because I got messages, Passover's coming, everybody get ready for Passover. But no, I'm done. Like I'm done with them playing with my emotions and playing and like using my children's blessings, over my head. Like they were constantly I was constantly feeling guilty about my children's salvation, not just my own. And it's like, I can't control any of that. Nobody can control any of that. So that was my final straw. That's when I left. And then, through lots of other ways, I was able to finally come to like YouTube videos. One of the things that really helped me as I was coming out of it was just sort of like listening about other cults, quote unquote cults, and sort of their doctrines and how similar they were to ours. When I saw how similar other religions were to ours, like as far as like having a father and mother, calling each other brother and sister, having communal living, like sort of those general broad things. Like I was learning about Jonestown and I was learning about Waco and I was learning about the Heaven's Gate people and just sort of seeing like how their leadership was, how their structures were, how their living situations were, and how it was so similar to ours. That really helped me a lot. And then, obviously reading some books and talking to a few people that I knew has just been so helpful in leaving. But I just want people to understand that leaving these kinds of places, leaving these kinds of, abusive relationships, it is not easy. Just seeing those similarities was really interesting and really, really helpful. Like, because you think that your teaching is so unique.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. But then when you see like other people are using the same Bible to make their own truth that is so similar to yours, you're like, okay, well, these are
We've been doing a lot of research for an upcoming episode because we want to do like a really good in-depth like history of Christianity in Korea, and sort of how this religion was able to like evolve into what it is now. And in
right.
doing that, we've both discovered there's like 98 different versions of almost the identical story of your church. And that to me was fascinating because in the West, we're like, this is so weird. I've never heard of this like concept before.
Yeah, but even in the West, there are so many, and maybe not even religion, but like, what do they call them now? MLM, what is that called? Multi-level marketing groups or something,
Yeah.
where it's more like a business,
We're not
like Nexium and things like that. Yeah, where they use more like a business model as opposed to a religious model. But it's all the same thing, and it's all the same tactics that they're using.
Yeah.
So it's all the same. So, it's just so crazy. But looking back, I think the most interesting thing for me was just how my body was trying to express something and I didn't know how to listen. That's not really something that we're taught. We're not really taught how to like listen to our intuition, you know what I mean? And when you're just in that constant loop, then you just have you need something to stop it. You need some kind of dramatic thing to get you out. So that was really interesting.
Amen,
And I
sister.
just want people to understand, like, panic attacks and anxiety is no joke. Like, luckily I haven't had a panic attack in a while, but they are really scary, and they can happen at any time, at any moment. What I learned is that memories can be stored in any part of your body. So this is something I think I learned from the Oprah book. What Happened to You? We read this amazing book, and I think it was in that book. It was talking about how when a traumatic thing happens to you, um, you know, it can be stored in your senses, whether it's your sense of smell, your sense of sight, all the sense of taste. And so sometimes your brain forgets things, and it's not really stored inside of your memory. It's stored inside of that sense of that part of your body. And so later, as you're living your life, you may smell something or hear something or taste something. And in your brain, it takes you back to that exact moment.
And you're like freaking out, and I have no idea why, but your brain is like, I'm having a memory that's really traumatic.
And your brain thinks that you're in danger. And so it's trying to protect you. And so when you have a panic attack, all of your organs, all of your senses go to protecting you, to that fight or flight response, or freeze even. And so for me personally, like, my heart would race just suddenly out of nowhere. My heart would race, like sweating, and you just feel like you can't breathe. You get tunnel vision. You just feel like you're about to die, like something really dangerous is happening to you. And what happens is your immediate response is to, like, panic. And like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. Oh my God, I'm going to pass out. Oh my God, I'm going to die. But because you're doing that, you're making it worse. And so I'm sort of like learning how to, go with it and learn from that panic and just sort of flow with it and experience it. And, and then teach yourself that you're okay and that you're safe. But it's a whole process, and it's like
your body reacts before you can explain to your brain that you're safe.
Right.
And so you're physically like,
if you guys are interested in learning about this, if you guys are interested in learning more about this, let us know and we'll talk about it more, because it's really interesting.
Yeah, we can put the link to the book, I think. I don't know if we can do that, but I think we can.
Yeah.
That's a great one. I think everybody needs that for every situation.
Yeah, I think the next episode, one of our next episodes, I want to talk about healing, the process of healing, some things that were helpful to me that might be helpful to other people, or if you guys want to, like, write in or let us know some things that might have, that might have helped you to get out of an abusive relationship or an abusive cult or any type of situation like that, let us know. We would love, I am always open for new ideas or, new suggestions on things to help us, because, this is my experience with a cult, but we are all going through these types of, hardships and experiences. So we just
I've been wanting to say this word for like a week and a half now. I just
say it.
Okay. The word sonder. I love that new word.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Sonder. It's like when you realize when you're walking down the street that the stranger passing you is having a complex and intricate life just like you are. It's that moment of, like, connectedness. Like, all of us are in these complex stories. And I feel like some of this podcast, not everybody who's listening or even here talking right now, me, have experienced being in a cult and having to leave that, but, like, we can connect in the complexities of all of our own lives, of our own unique situations on this together.
Right.
And I think that's beautiful. That's humanity. I love that.
That is beautiful. I think about that a lot. Like, sometimes just driving down the street and I'm just like, oh my God, everybody in these specific houses has their own life, their own trauma, their own problems, their own joys and happiness. And it's also complicated. But Lindsay, I do want to say one thing really quick, is, like, you were affected by a cult. Like, you need to also own that. And, like, I think that you and the family also, like, had trauma from it, and I do think that that's also something that you guys need to heal from. Like, somebody involved in a cult, it does not just affect that one person. It affects all the people involved. Like, so many family members, parents and siblings and grandparents. It affects everybody, and it gives everybody a little bit of trauma. So I just want to like talk about that and, just say
Yeah, that's
that.
true. That is true. I definitely had moments when you started to come out of it, and I would just get so excited. Like, I forgot how much my sister means to me outside of
How
just
awesome
like,
I am.
yeah, no, really, like, you were such an important role in my life. And it's not
Right.
like you weren't while you were there, but, I had kind of
It
just
was
been like,
different.
I don't know what to do about that. Like, I can't control what my sister's doing. And
Right.
I missed you. And I didn't even realize that I was like off living my rock star life, like, being
Rockstar.
wild, doing things that didn't make me feel good as a person. And
Oh, I'm
then as you were
sorry.
coming out of it and you were examining my life as it was, you were like, hey, like, you're really wild. You need to like kind of chill out and make better choices. And I was like, you know what? Everybody has been telling me that, but because you say it, it like means something more for
Oh,
some reason.
right.
And so you like, yeah, it did affect me because I was just like living unchecked with my older sister not giving me the like life advice for, however long, like 10 years.
Right. That's
And
so
so,
sad. I'm so sorry. I
oh,
think
I
that's
don't say it
important.
for you to feel sorry. I just say like I got lost in how important your role in my life was too while you were in there until you came out and I was like, oh, my sister is my best friend. I love her.
No. I think sibling relationships are very important. That's an important thing to say because siblings can kind of call you out on your crap. They can call you out and tell you, hey,
Yeah,
you're being ridiculous. And like you can take it better from a sibling, from a brother or sister than you can from really anybody else.
really. Yeah,
Well,
that's
in
really,
our dynamic, I mean, every family's different, but in our
yeah.
in our dynamic, I feel like that's, how it is.
Yes, your parents saying like, hey, you're being really wild. You need to calm down. You're like, don't tell me what to do. I'm an adult. And then your sister
Right.
says it and you're like, oh,
For sure.
fine. I'll chill.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So I
Thanks
think
for
that we
coming on,
all,
but I missed you.
yeah, you're welcome. So I think, yeah, that's kind of the process of my personal experience leaving. I know that there's a lot, there's different ways to come out, but for me, that's the way. And it's not about leaving, it's about freeing your mind. It's not about leaving the building or leaving the church. It's about freeing your mind from their, their version of reality, their version of what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, so I don't need to be confined to that worldview. I can
Yeah.
have my own life, my own worldview. So yeah.
So coming up in a few
Hi.
days is Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving. Oh, do you guys want to hear about Thanksgiving? Let me tell you one more quick story about Thanksgiving while I was in the church. We never mean to make these episodes so long. It just sort of happens.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know. I was in the church for maybe, I don't know, 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and the whole time we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys, Thanksgiving is pagan. We're not celebrating that. It was really strict. We weren't allowed to celebrate any holidays, really. So we were just like told, don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And what would you guys always say?
We were like, that's ridiculous. It's not a religious holiday. Like Christmas, Easter, that makes sense, Halloween,
Yeah,
whatever. We're like, give us Thanksgiving. It's
give us
not even like
Thanksgiving.
a you know,
Right.
Christian
But you know
base.
what? We were shown these things about, I think it was FDR. I'm not exactly sure, guys, but I think it was FDR who made it like an official holiday. And it did sort of have like religious things behind it. But then all of a sudden, we were told one year that we were allowed to go eat on Thanksgiving. They were like, as long as it's not a religious ceremony, then you're allowed to go eat dinner with your family. So all of a sudden it was allowed. So
Mhm.
honestly, I was excited because I was like, yay, I'm gonna go eat with my family. But I was also like a little bit embarrassed because I'm like, what am I gonna say to them? Like, obviously, this is not what I've been saying all these years, and now all of a sudden I'm allowed to come. So that
Yeah.
was a little bit. You do sort of have like this thing where I don't know, you want to like save face or something. You don't want to look stupid because you said one thing and now you're doing another thing. So that was very weird.
Yeah. And it was funny how you guys approached it. You were like, oh no, we've been allowed to this whole time. We just misunderstood what they were teaching us.
Yeah.
You took the blame of it. Like
Well,
we
that's
just
what they would say.
misunderstood.
So the leaders would tell us, "Oh, you must have misunderstood. You've always been allowed to go eat dinner with your family. That's no problem. Eating dinner with your family, no problem." So they would kind of like switch it and then make us feel like we had misunderstood this whole
Yeah.
time. And so then I'd go back to my family and be like, "Oh, well, we misunderstood. So, we're allowed to keep Thanksgiving now." And I think that you guys really held your tongue because you were just happy that we were there.
Yes. Enjoy your
And
family
that um
or yourself if you're just like
yeah,
rocking it on your own.
my son would like to send a message to y'all. See you guys
Happy
next time.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, you guys. We will talk to
we'll
you next time.
we'll see you guys next time. Hey,
And there's
hey, son. Hey, get your son over here.
yes,
You want to
Yeah.
say boom? Say boom, baby.
say it. That's what we say at the end of the thing.
Boom, baby.